Moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, 2nd November 2023 be approved with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Thank you, honorable members. Clerk, may we proceed?
Laying of papers and reports. Report of the Auditor General on the audited financial statement of the central government of the Gambia for the year ended 31st December 2020. By the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs.
Honorable members, may I now invite the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs to lay the report of the Auditor General on the audited financial statements of the central government of the Gambia for the year ended 31st December 2020.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the National Assembly, members of the press, staff of the Ministry of Finance, particularly the Accountant General. I am pleased to lay before this August National Assembly the audited financial statements of the Government of the Gambia for the financial year ended 31st December 2020. The financial statements consist of accounts that are under the control of the Accountant General's Department and do not include full transactions of the state-owned enterprise, self-accounting projects, and local governments. Are audited separately by external auditors through the Office of the Auditor General. The financial statements comprise of the following: consolidated statement of cash receipts and payments following the IPSA, International Public Sector Accounting Standards, statement of revenue and expenditure, consolidated revenue fund, detailed revenue and expenditure comparison, accounting policies, and explanatory notes. The financial statements also contain additional information as required by Section 63 of the Public Finance Act 2014 and Part 2 of the cash basis of the preparation. Honorable Speaker, the financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the following legal and regulatory frameworks. 1. The 1997 Constitution, Public Finance Act 2014, Financial Regulations of 2016, International IPSA's cash basis. As you may be aware, there is a strong drive for the governments to adopt international best practice. Thus, the government of the Gambia adopted the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, otherwise known as IPSAS, as the basis for the statement. The adoption of IPSAS is a necessary element in strengthening the governance framework and enhancing transparency. Thus, it has enabled the setting up of appropriate minimum benchmarks for discharge of accountability and transparency, the provisions of a framework against which audit is undertaken, and allows improved quality and comparability of financial information reported by the public sector against performance of other countries that have adopted IPSAS. 3. Issues raised by the Auditor General and the actions taken to remedy them. Honorable Speaker, the government has us to add issues arising from the audit of the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020. Details of the actions taken are provided in the management letter of the Auditor General. Additional information or documents and further clarifications on the unresolved issues are being collated and will be shared with the National Audit Office. Continuous improvements in the preparation and audit of government financial statements. Honorable Speaker, there has been considerable improvements in the timely preparation and audit of government financial statements in the recent past. Government financial statements have been prepared up to 2022. The audit of the 2021 government financial statements is currently ongoing, while the preparation of the 2022 accounts has just been concluded, ready for submission to the National Audit Office. This is a clear demonstration of our commitment towards the attainment of in-year reporting, whereby the Auditor General can perform continuous audit of government activities. The Rwanda IFMIS initiatives. Following the implementation of the IFMIS system that has been in use for almost 2 decades, the government continues to explore and adopt sustainability, as well as reduce the dependency on the international consultants. In this vein, the government of the Gambia is collaborating with the government of Rwanda to come up with a homegrown IFMIS system, asset management policy. The government of the Gambia, through the support from AFRICTAC West 2 of the IMF, has developed an asset management policy for use throughout government. This will, to a great extent, serve as an important pillar towards migrating to IPSAS accruals, and it will also support the management of tangible and intangible assets of the government. Treasury single account. The Treasury single account, through which all government bank accounts will be consolidated at the Central Bank of the Gambia, has successfully been implemented. This has been extended to semi-autonomous institutions such as the National Assembly, Judiciary, National Audit Office, and National Human Rights Commission. This has fully eliminated cash or check payments. The Treasury single account will enhance the government cash position, thereby reducing domestic borrowing. A key tool to support the Treasury single account is the implementation of a revenue collection platform, which is at an advanced stage. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, we say that over the past years, the government has been implementing a series of public financial management reforms. This has resulted in the overall improvement in the quality of public financial management services delivered by the government. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker and August Assembly, please allow me to once again thank all the players in the public financial management cycle, from policy formulation and implementation, for the quality oversight function of the National Assembly is continuously discharged. On this note, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, any seconder? Yes, Honorable Member for Upper Nyomi.
Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. I like to second the motion.
Honorable member. It has been seconded, moved and seconded. The Auditor General's findings are a critical tool in upholding the principles of transparency, accountability, and good governance, which are the cornerstones of our parliamentary democratic system. The Auditor General's office plays a pivotal role
Motion. Section 152(1) of the 1997 Constitution and Standing Order 86-1 Sale of the image of revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 2024, 1st January to 31st December 2024, both dates inclusive, by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs.
Honorable members, may I invite the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs to table the estimates of revenue and expenditure of the government of the Gambia for the period 1st January to 31st December 2024, both dates inclusive. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker and members of the National Assembly, members of the press, staff of the Ministry of Finance, and particularly the Budget Directorate, I would like to submit for consideration and approval by the National Assembly the estimates of revenue, recurrent, and development expenditures for the Republic of the Gambia for the fiscal year 2024. Honorable Speaker, the legal basis for today's event, that is the tabling of the 2024 budget estimates before the National Assembly, is anchored on the 1997 Constitution Finance Act 2014. Section 152(1) amended of the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia places an obligation on His Excellency the President Adama Barrow to instruct the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs to prepare and submit to the National Assembly at least 60 days before the end of each financial year the estimates of revenue and expenditures of the Gambia for the following year. The amendment will take effect in the 2025 fiscal year. Furthermore, Section 21(1) of the Public Finance Act requires the Minister to lay before the National Assembly the appropriation bill documents, and Section 24 of the same Act specify the contents of the appropriation bill documents. Consequently, these relevant documents are now incorporated in the 2024 estimates of revenues and expenditure. It is also worth to note that in the light of the foregoing, the Public Finance Act provides under Section 27 thereof for the National Assembly to appoint temporarily or permanently a core team of technical staff to assist in gathering information, making research and analysis on issues its duration and resolution on the budget submitted by the Minister of Finance. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs is responsible for the overall coordination and formulation of the annual budget, in line with both the Constitution and the Public Finance Act 2014. The 2024 budget is anchored on the reduction of the overall fiscal deficit, including the gradual reduction of the net domestic borrowing as a percentage of the GDP over the medium term. For this reason, the Ministry intends to pursue rationalization of expenditures, improving domestic resource mobilization, and innovate revenue generating, creating initiatives such as asset recycling program, restructuring the debt profile to reduce the debt burden, the burden of the debt, and focusing on concessional financing of infrastructure projects identified in the Green Recovery Focused National Development Plan, otherwise branded as YIRIWA. The NDP is now branded as YIRIWA to reflect the development that it will usher in upon its implementation. As a result, the draft 2024 budget estimate has been prepared based on the objective of consolidating accelerating reforms to build economic resilience and improve the well-being of the population. To this end, the draft estimate is focused on improved domestic resource mobilization drive that supports the provision of quality essential services in education, health and agriculture, and infrastructure development to promote a more inclusive and resilient growth. This new direction of the government policy will support recovery in the light of the global economic headwinds that threaten to slow down the gradual recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Honorable Speaker, growth continues to global domestic challenges, the war in Ukraine, the lingering effects of the pandemic, and the tightening global financial conditions continue to slow down the global growth, therefore affecting domestic economic performance. On the macroeconomic front, provisional data estimates show that the real GDP growth for 2024 projected to at 4.9%, lower than the 5.3% recorded in 2021, when recovery from the pandemic was underway, but slightly higher than the 2023. This steady growth performance results from the spillover effects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict has severely dampened the growth prospects. Previously, Projections have been revised downwards owing to the increasing interest rates to counter the rising price levels. Real GDP growth is projected at 4.8% in 2023. On sector-specific growth outlooks, agriculture is projected to continue on its growth path, reaching 8.3% in 2023 compared to 3.6% in 2022, primarily supported by crop production, fishing, and aquaculture. The growth prospect for the industry sector is estimated to increase to 4% in 2023 from 3% in 2022, mainly supported by electricity and construction. On the service sector, growth is expected to subdue at 2.5% in 2023, with rebound activities in tourism and wholesale and retail trade subsector. Tourism is expected to recover from the COVID-19 disruption by 2026, when the arrival of tourists is expected to reach pre-COVID arrival levels. Tighter global financial conditions in response to multi-decade highs in global inflation rate is adversely affecting the country's macroeconomic fundamentals. General shortages weighing on foreign exchange reserves and exerting pressure on the dollar. To aggravate the situation, the balance of payment is negatively affected by the high food and fuel import bills, disruption of the cashew exports, and elevated freight costs. To this end, the Central Bank of the Gambia conducted foreign currency intervention of close to $139.44 million in 2022 to ease supply-side constraints and support the importation of essential commodities that reach critically low stock levels. In addition, strong domestic demand combined with high food well by the war in Ukraine added to strengthening inflationary pressures in the country. Inflation reached a record high of 18.5% year-on-year in September 2023, but it has recently declined to 18% as of end of October 2023. This elevated inflationary pressure stems from both food and non-food commodities. Monetary policy in this context was geared towards tackling price hikes, with the central bank further raising its policy rate to 17 percentage points in August 2023. In terms of the outlook, growth is projected to moderately rebound to 2024 and strengthen further in the medium term at an average of 6.1% growth per year. Going forward, agricultural sector is expected to be the main driver of growth in the medium term. As the West grapples with the spillover effects of the war in Ukraine, lower real incomes and higher interest rates are creating volatility and affecting the prospect for tourism and trade. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to update this August Assembly on the status of the budget execution for the first 3 quarters of 2023 and the outlook for the remaining part of the year. The for the first quarters of 2023 is on track as the outturn is 8 percentage points below projection. The overall spending is in line with the projection due to the decline in recurrent expenditure in line with the fiscal prudence being implemented. Revenue and grants for the first 9 months amounted to 19.2 billion, representing an outperformance of 28% against its projections. This overperformance is mainly emanating from a 28% increment in tax on international trade due to the reduction in fuel subsidy against what was projected during the review period. An increase in tax revenue and a $900 million dividend payment from the central bank was also there. During the first 3 quarters of 2023, tax revenue amounted to 10.4 billion compared to the projection of 9.9 billion. Reflecting a slight increase in performance by just 4 percentage points. This increment is highly influenced by a rise in taxes on international trade on both oil and non-oil products and the decline in fuel subsidies. In addition, the measures taken by the government to decongest the seaport, expanding the berthing space for shipping lines, and improve handling equipment all contributed to the goal. On non-tax revenue, performance for the first 3 quarters registered 3.2 billion against a projection of 3.1 billion for the same period. This represents an increase of 3%. The table below identifies the movement in the revenue performance, and it should have read revised budget of 2020 and budget of 2023 as a heading. Honorable Speaker, the government expenditures have been broadly consistent with our projections. Total outturn for expenditures and net lending in 2023 are projected to reach 32.3 billion. In comparison, end outturn expected to be 4.8 billion below the approved budget of 37.15 billion. This is mainly because of curtailing of expenditures and reduced disbursement in project grants. On debt interest, 2.46 billion has been utilized as of the end of September 2023, representing a disbursement rate of 81.8% of expected outturn, of which 1.96 billion or 79.4 percentage points of actual interest expense was domestic. Other charge expenditures reached 5.97 billion, of which goods and services represent 2.46 billion and subsidy 1.5 billion. The projected outturn for other charges for fourth quarter is 2.79 billion, while the NDR is projected to be 8.7 billion. The outturn for capital expenditure for the third quarter was 9.34 billion and is projected at 13.79 billion by the year end. Personnel costs as at the end of the year is estimated at about 600 million above the approved budget of 6.1. And the table below shows the projection actual outturn Q1 to Q3 and Q4 projection and the year-end totals. Honorable Speaker, revenue and grant for 2024 budget is projected to reach 34.93 billion, representing a growth of 5 percentage points compared to 2023 budget of 33.22. Tax revenue is expected to increase by 24% due to improvements in the economic performance and enhancements in tax administration through digitalization and compliance. Furthermore, a tax expenditure policy to be adopted will also help to enhance revenue by reducing exemptions, increasing collection of third-party data, and improving tax compliance. There are also ongoing efforts to increase income of major contractors, particularly those benefiting from major government contracts in the construction sector and the PPP contracts. Preliminary engagements have begun and they are ready to regularize their tax obligations. In addition, the current scope for rental income tax collection will be enhanced by developing a comprehensive register of owners of residential and commercial properties in order to strengthen the tax compliance under this income tax category. Non-tax revenue is expected to increase by 86% due to partial anticipated receipts of $10 million from arbitration award and the payment of the first tranche of 50 tons gas recycling program. Additionally, however, an additional $500 million has been factored to cater for more revenues from non-tax revenue to reflect the enhanced domestic resource mobilization drive. It is time for the revenue base to expand to reflect the self-reliance for national development instead of relying on donor or partner support. The 2024 budget will factor budget support to the tune of 3.18 billion from our development partners compared to 2.77 billion in 2023. And the bulk of this support are expected to come from the world, EU 14 million euros, African Development Bank $7 million, Agence Française du Développement 5 million euros. Project grants and disbursement is revised downwards by 34% to reflect the optimistic projections of 2023. This adjustment in project grants will help to match estimates as close as possible to the anticipated outcomes. The table gives the comparison of the budget of 2023 and the estimate for 2024 for revenues and their percentage movements. Honorable Speaker and members of the August National Assembly, please allow me to explain the contained in the 2024 budget according to the broad classification of government expenditures. Total expenditures and net lending are projected to increase slightly by 6 percentage points, rising from 37.15 billion to 39.38 billion in 2024. This increase is mainly driven by increase in debt interest, which is projected to increase from 2.9 billion in 2023 to 5.9 billion in 2024, an increase of 76%. Personnel emoluments expenditures are also projected to increase from 6.1 billion revised base value of 2023 to 7.43 in 2024. However, personnel emoluments have been revised in 2023 to take into account adequate adjustments relating to unplanned recruitments. Meanwhile, goods and services from the use of both donor and government resources is projected to be 9.84 billion in 2024, representing a 1% decrease compared to 2023. Similarly, capital expenditures are expected to decline by 12%. The decline in the budget for both goods and services and capital expenditures is with the delay in project grant disbursement from 2023 to 2024. This is mainly explained by the over-projection of project grants, which has been largely corrected for in 2024. The largest allocation of the expenditure budget, apart from the debt service, which consume about 26% of the expenditure budget, is to education. And the combined allocation to this sector, both the highest basic education, higher education, comprises more than 15% of the expenditure budget. This is necessary to invest in the human capital now, for the country, and to take advantage of the demographic dividend of our youthful population. The infrastructure deficit of the country is huge, and hence this sector attracts the second largest share of the budget, while the health and agriculture follow closely. The thrust of the expenditure budget is to invest in the capital base of the economy, build resilience that is much needed in these turbulent times. Meanwhile, subsidies and transfers, which include subventions, are projected to increase by 599 million to 4.96 billion in 2024 compared to for 2023. This increase is partly due to the increase in subvention for the GRA on the backdrop of anticipated higher revenue collections, Ministry of Health, hospitals, schools, GBOS for the national census, and the inclusion of new subventions to MCC Compact Coordination Office, Victims Commission, SOE Commissions. Input subsidies for fertilizer also increased by $100 million. Goods and services from domestically financed resources increased by 34% from 4.08 billion in 2023 to 5.48 billion in 2024. The significant goods and services as a result of the increased funding for land compensation for roads and NAWEC solar power project, post-OIC activities, travel expenses of the National Assembly, and the consultancy service related to public works. Furthermore, the contribution to the Gambia River Basin OMVG of $150 million and the hospital drugs of $240 million are also contributing factors. Overall, capital expenditure, including donor funds, is expected to decrease by 12% to 11.76 billion in 2024, mainly as a result of projected decrease in project grants disbursement. However, government funding of unrelated investment is projected to increase by 30% from 2.5 billion in 2023 to 3.26 billion in 2024. This includes anticipated payments for ongoing infrastructure works, including relocation of services and related works. The table below indicates the expenditure categories and their distribution. Debt service interest payments is projected to be 5.11 billion in 2024 from 2.19 billion in 2023, representing an increase of 76%. Overall debt service interest payment and plus foreign amortization is projected to reach 4.9 in 2024. The increase in the debt service for 2024 is as a result of the large increase in the interest payments due to increase in the monetary policy rate, in the monetary policy committee rate to a high of 17%, which translates to higher interest payments on the 30-year bond and other domestic debts, and the anticipated rollover of other government securities. Honorable Speaker, the 2024 budget deficit will be financed mainly from domestic financing and borrowing from our development partners. In a sense, the gross deficit is estimated to reach 2.55% of the GDP, 5.9% of the GDP. This is a deficit reduction of 29% from the 2023 budget compared to 2024. This deficit reduction strategy will be sustained in the near term in order to reduce the elevated debt levels. The debt to GDP ratio was about 83% in 2022 and is now on a downward trend, and the deficit reduction strategy, anchored on a robust domestic resource mobilization and fiscal expenditure prudence, will be sustained for a more robust financial position. The table below shows the details of the financing team. Honorable Speaker, it's important to note that the global economic and geopolitical developments coupled with climate change has exposed the world economy in general and the Gambian economy in particular to polycrisis and hence the challenges of the economic management. However, we expect a stronger economy with gradual decline in inflation as inflation-fighting strategies of both the monetary and fiscal policies begin to take effect in a heightened global inflation environment. The planned decline in the fiscal deficit as a percentage of the GDP over time will help to reduce the overall debt ratio in the medium term, which will be domestic resource and containment of expenditures. The reforms and enhanced public financial management environment will be embedded throughout the implementation of the budget to ensure that the development priorities of investing in human capital development and infrastructure are realized. On this note, I hereby submit the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 2024 for the consideration and approval of this August Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Second, Honorable Member for Old Yundum.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion and equally thank the Minister for Finance for tabling the estimates for the 2024 budget of the Republic of the Gambia. We thank you for tabling the budget, Honorable Minister, and I hope we'll do diligence to the budget during our debate. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Old Yundum. The estimates of revenue and expenditure is an important document. This pivotal moment not only marks a significant event in the physical calendar, but also sets the course for economic trajectory of our nation. It sets out the macroeconomic variables of the country in relation to revenue and expenditure of the Gambia and the programs it intends to execute to improve the conditions of the lives of the citizens for the year under review. Of the annual budget is a solemn duty that reflects the collective aspirations and responsibilities of our government. It is a comprehensive roadmap that outlines the financial priorities and strategies to address the needs and challenges facing our citizens. As custodians of public trust, we are entrusted with the task of allocating resources judiciously, ensuring that the budget reflects the values and priorities of our diverse populations. Our nation stands at a crucial juncture, facing both opportunities and challenges that demand a pragmatic, forward-looking approach. The annual budget serves as a tool to foster economic growth, social development, and environmental sustainability. It is a reflection of our commitment to providing essential services, investing in infrastructure, and fostering an environment conducive to innovation and progress. I commend the diligent efforts of the Finance Ministry and all stakeholders involved in the formulation of this budget. Crafting a budget is a complex and delicate process that requires careful consideration of diverse interests and perspectives. The budgetary allocations must strike a delicate balance between the immediate needs of our citizens and the long-term goals of sustainable development. In the spirit of transparency and accountability, I encourage all members of this August Assembly to scrutinize the budget thoroughly, engage in constructive debates, and contribute so that the final budget reflects the collective wisdom of this Assembly. Cognizant of this reality and of the provisions of Order 86-6A and B of the Standing Orders, the sitting will be adjourned to give members adequate time to review the document. Honorable members, as per approved agenda of this ordinary session, the Assembly Business Committee has scheduled Monday, 27th November 2023 for consideration and debate proper on the 2024 estimates, while the Committee of Supply will commence on Wednesday, 29th and Thursday, 30th November 2023. Before putting the question, honorable members, I want to announce for the general information of members that the pre-budget training retreat is scheduled for the period from tomorrow, Saturday, 18th November to 20 November 2023 at Bakadaji Hotel in Kololi, along the Barton Harding Highway. Accordingly, all honorable members are urged to take note of the scheduled dates for the retreat. The Office of the Clerk has sourced the services of various experts and technicians on budget analysis and training to help honorable members in their scrutiny role on the budget. Therefore, honorable members, it is important that we all attend this important retreat to enable us thoroughly scrutinize and digest very important document. Honorable members, on that note, I now put the question. Be resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned until Monday, 27th November 2023. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. The Assembly now stands adjourned until Monday, 27th November 2023 at 10 a.m. prompt.
yoddu sa xat te quality Jasna ñoo yor seen cumbukaay tur day uyu borom Jasna pire soo ko bëggee fii si biir Gambia bi dawal foofu sa quality Jasna your number one stop shop ana sama jigéen ñi dama bëgg ngeen jox ma seen nopp garme yi ndaxte quality Jasna amal nañ leen ay til yu toj daala pos abaya yu yiiw waaye it amal nañ leen ay boreda yu rafet boreda yoo xam ne pour góor ñi la ak pour jigéen ñi amal nañ leen body scrub yi nga xam ne nii dafay defar seen yaram bam nice white fàttewuñ fa diw yi ana sama jeeg yu pare yi Quality Jasna amal nañ leen fa andi cuuraay yu neex house spray ak bépp xeetu baax pour seen biir néeg dama ne atum ren ji ku sa jëkkër mere ku ne yow la neex ndaxte Quality Jasna ñëw na si dëkk bi pour defar sëy yi makeup artist yi bàyyi leen gannaaw ñu ngi leen fa amal ay makeup product yu quality waxu leen léegi nii foofa sa Westfield jàkkaarloog monument bi wala nga jokkoo Quality Jasna si 250-0124 ak Quality Jasna taaral sa bopp taaral sa néeg waaye it dëggal sa alaaji aas